In the ancient forests of Bharat, where the rustle of leaves whispered Vedic hymns and time bowed to the silence of sages, lived one of the most extraordinary yet forgotten figures of Sanatan Dharma, Rishi Chyavana. His name may be recognized today through the Ayurvedic tonic Chyawanprash, but behind that name lies a legend of epic transformation, divine defiance, and dharmic revolution. A story so powerful, it once shook Indra's throne and redrew the map of divine privilege. Born to the illustrious Bhrigu lineage, Chyavana was no ordinary child. The Bhrigus, descendants of the fire-born Rishi Bhrigu, were not known for politics or warfare, but for a spiritual intensity that bordered on dangerous. Chyavana embodied this fire. From a young age, he withdrew from society, choosing deep tapas, penance, to burn away the illusions of the world. Over the years, his body shriveled with age. Blindness overtook his eyes, and he became still as a stone in his forest hermitage. Ants, unafraid, built their hill over his body, turning him into a living shrine of stillness. He had become so detached that even nature forgot to disturb him. But as with all true Tapasya, the universe took notice. One day, King Sharyati, a descendant of the Solar dynasty, came into the forest with his young daughter Sukanya. Curious and playful, Sukanya noticed two glowing lights within an anthill and, unaware of the sage within, poked at them, only to realize she had blinded a living human. The forest stirred. The king's retinue began suffering strange misfortunes. It was then revealed that the glowing lights were Chyavana's eyes, and in injuring him, they had violated cosmic order. Seeking to restore balance, King Sharyati offered his daughter in marriage to the aged blind sage. The union shocked the court. Sukanya, a radiant young princess, became wife and caretaker to a man whose very body had become a shell of time. But herein lies the first miracle. She accepted him without complaint. She bathed his body, cleaned his wounds, protected him from insects, and never once wavered. In the Vedic worldview, such pativrata dharma, the unswerving devotion of a wife, is a force more powerful than weapons. Sukanya's service became the spark of Chyavana's reawakening. As Sukanya tended to her husband, two celestial beings descended, the Ashwini Kumars, twin gods of healing and rejuvenation, known for their beauty and medical mastery. Seeing Sukanya's devotion, they were moved and offered her a choice: abandon the old man and take one of them as her consort. Their offer was tempting: eternal youth, divine love, freedom. But Sukanya, unmoved, chose her Dharma. The Ashwins, astounded, offered a second boon. They would restore Chyavana's youth so that she might know joy in her sacrifice. They took the sage to a divine lake hidden in the forest, its waters infused with Soma and Ashwini herbs, and instructed him to bathe. As he immersed, the waters churned, his skin glowed, his spine straightened, his eyes cleared. When he emerged, Chyavana was no longer the broken hermit. He was resplendent, ageless, glowing with tejas. The spiritual fire, so profound was the transformation that Sukanya could not recognize her husband among the twins. To test her fidelity, they asked her to choose. Sukanya closed her eyes, placed her palm upon her heart, and chose with the soul, not the senses. And she chose right. This act affirmed the sanctity of love and loyalty above all illusion. But Chyavana's tale was only beginning. Grateful to the Ashwini Kumars, Chyavana decided to restore their cosmic status. Though they were gods, the Ashwins had been denied participation in the Soma Yajna, a sacred Vedic ritual from which they were excluded for their association with mortals and medicine. Chyavana declared they had earned their place. The Devas, led by Indra, refused. Indra, proud and authoritarian, mocked the twins. But Chyavana, now empowered by youth and tapas, would not tolerate injustice. From his yogic fire, he summoned Mada, a monstrous being, the embodiment of intoxication and excess, so terrifying in form that the very heavens trembled. Indra, once unchallenged, found himself cornered by a mortal. Realizing the power of true Dharma, he relented. The Ashwini Kumars were granted their seat at the Soma ritual, not by force, but by the clarity of Chyavana's righteous anger and divine authority. This was a spiritual revolution. For the first time, the boundaries of heaven were challenged not by war, but by wisdom. Chyavana didn't seek revenge. He sought balance. In doing so, he redefined the relationship between man and God, reminding even the celestial beings that Dharma does not obey hierarchy. It transcends it. Beyond divine politics, Chyavana's story also marked the beginning of ancient medicine in its most spiritual form. After his rejuvenation, he composed formulas and practices meant to restore vitality to others. The most famous of these was Chyawanprash, a preparation of herbs, ghee, honey, amla, and over 40 botanicals, designed to rejuvenate cells, sharpen memory, and strengthen ojas, the life force. What makes it unique is not just its ingredients, but its intent. It was born from an act of gratitude, created not for profit, but for wellness. That a formulation from 5,000 years ago is still used today is proof of its authenticity and of Chyavana's lasting legacy. But why is such a monumental story forgotten? Perhaps because it lacks the spectacle of war or the drama of betrayal. But in its quiet transformation lies a deeper, more spiritual truth, that stillness is strength, that devotion changes destiny, and that aging is not a curse, but a gateway to transcendence. Chyavana and Sukanya represent two poles of power, the inner fire of renunciation and the outer grace of Siva. Together, they form a cosmic equation. Sukanya's devotion did not just support Chyavana, it activated him. Her pure bhakti acted as the Shakti, the feminine current that awakened the sage's dormant potential. In that dynamic lies a secret of Sanatan philosophy, that real power arises not in isolation, but in sacred union, and that every sage, no matter how great, still needs the love that only pure-hearted Seva can offer. Theirs is not a romantic tale in the modern sense. It is far deeper. It is an allegory of resurrection, a reminder that even when buried by time, when forgotten and discarded, the spirit, with devotion as fuel, can rise again more luminous than ever. In our age, where we chase youth through surgeries and serums, Chyavana reminds us that true rejuvenation is internal. His reversal of aging was not just cosmetic. It was a consequence of surrender, tapas, and divine grace. His story also critiques power. Indra's arrogance was no match for a Rishi's silence. Chyavana didn't build armies, he built himself, and that was enough to bend the gods. In him we see the possibility of awakening, of rewriting one's fate, even after a lifetime of decay. And through Sukanya, we see that love guided by Dharma becomes a force strong enough to restore the cosmos itself. Rishi Chyavana's tale is not merely historical. It is psychological, spiritual, and deeply relevant today. It teaches us that age is not weakness, that stillness is not death, and that forgotten fire can still light the world. In every spoon of Chyawanprash, in every herb ground in Ayurveda, echoes the sage's presence. He lives not just in texts, but in our breath, immunity, memory, and our hope that renewal is possible, not just for the body, but for civilization. And so, we remember him not for his fame, but for his transformation, not for his battles, but for his balance, not for his miracles, but for his message, that the path of truth, no matter how forgotten, will always rise again, radiant, timeless, and indestructible.